Alrighty, everyone. Welcome to I Screen, You Screen for Movies for Monday, July 3rd. F it. It's a raw feed. We're doing it live. My name's Danny, and I have a welcoming, returning veteran guest. And he appeared on my Scream episode months ago, which you guys can listen to my Scream 6 review. He's returned. Everyone, Malique from a former podcaster from Movies for Real. Welcome back to the show, man.
Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm glad to be here. Talking about movies. I know I don't do my thing anymore, but it's always, a joy to be able to talk about, things we love. So,
Yep. But you are the love of movies, so I'm glad to see you okay and everything. I know you're not doing the podcast anymore at the moment, so overall, I'm glad you're still enjoying movies out there and, just, take your time and, still enjoy the movies, but I'm sorry to hear that your podcast has gone on maintenance a bit, but just want to let the listeners know in case. But yeah, without further ado, today's episode we are talking one of the most iconic franchise movies of the centuries. It's finally came out. The fifth and final installment of Indiana Jones is here. The Dial of Destiny. So Malik, you wanted to appear on my show, so I wanted to ask you, what does Indiana Jones mean to you growing up?
well, Indiana Jones for me is just Steven Spielberg is a really important part of my life because he's the reason why I love film. Like, with Jurassic Park, and then I remember my first Indiana Jones movie I did actually watch was Temple of Doom. Surprisingly, that was like my first one, and I just love that character and just everything. Like, I love history in general, so seeing a guy that loves history go after these artifacts was just a really cool thing. And Harrison Ford's a man.
He's the goat. And man, we're gonna talk about his the magic he's got. But other than that, before we get into that, let us give us our quick thoughts before we delve into topics. So, you are the guest, so why don't you go ahead and give your very quick thoughts to Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, Malik?
I really, really enjoyed it. I don't know what people are on when they say they don't. It's weird because I didn't feel any time that movie that I was bored. Maybe it's because I love this character a lot more than others. I don't know why, but I just really enjoyed seeing this is a different take on Indiana Jones. I feel like him, being kind of battered and kind of like not caring anymore, kind of just literally retiring. So this is a cool way to see him and kind of like him jump back into getting his hat and getting his whip back and just going back into action. It's a really cool thing, and it's like an 8 out of 10 for me was my score that I would give it
Me too.
for sure.
I gave it 8 out of 10 as well. So my
Yeah,
quick thoughts. I wanted to see if it's really better than Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, which everyone hated that movie, I'm sure. So I was able to watch the previous Indiana Jones past couple days. I watched the fourth one today before I went to see Dial of Destiny as of Sunday, July 2nd, which you guys can even listen as of listening to this episode and that day's passed as I upload the episode. I did see the fourth one. Obviously, I knew it's terrible. So, and the Dial of Destiny fulfilled it being better. But it's not magical as like the first original three. But my rankings though will just give you like annoyance because I mean, hey, I'm just gonna give you the idea once we go down to the rankings. But my quick thoughts to this movie, I liked it. I liked it overall than the last previous Indiana Jones, but nowhere near as like the first three. And it has everything Indiana Jones has to offer. It's got the
yeah,
action, it's got the humor, it's got the characters, it's got the music. That's
oh
how
yeah.
you make an iconic franchise just keep on going. So, all right. So, as we're getting down to topics, let's go ahead and speak Harrison Ford, the man of the show, the man of the iconic actor. Harrison Ford plays Indiana Jones once again. And to remind you all, this is his final film and the final film of the franchise. I can't say anything beyond Harrison Ford. He still got it. No matter what age, this guy is unbelievably still got the talent. Even right into his 80s, he still has all that amazing magic. But at the same time, when they're shooting this, he did got injured a little bit once, so they had to like delay the movie, and then like just he was on rest, I believe, to delay the movie, and then I don't know if it was delayed because of that. I can't tell.
Yeah, I don't know, but the man still did it though. It came back. Like
Oh
that's
yeah,
crazy to me.
totally,
Like
totally.
87 years old, getting injured and
It's
coming back.
just insane. I mean, hey, he still got it. So Harrison Ford did an amazing job. He's still the same character. He still played the iconic. It's like Tom Cruise would play Maverick again 36 years later, and I'm sure Harrison Ford does love his job as long as he lives, which I'm sure he also enjoys his part of there. I'm not sure,
I
but
know.
to compare to
I've heard some.
Tom Cruise enjoys his character a lot. But I'm sure Harrison Ford also enjoyed
Well,
playing his
I've heard
character. Go
some
ahead.
behind the scenes things. He's an old man, so like behind the scenes they'll like be like, I know for Captain America, the new Captain America movie coming out, he's gonna be in that. And Anthony Mackie said that they'll be like ready to shoot it, and he would just be like, "Yo, let's just shoot this shit. Like I'm ready to just shoot it and be done." Because he's an old man. It's like we got to get
Yeah, I
going
can
for
see
him.
that. So who knows if he's actually enjoying his job more than playing a MCU character? Because
I'm
I
sure
don't.
I think he loves he definitely loves the fan base. Like he loves playing these iconic characters and stuff. If that wasn't the case, he wouldn't hop into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Like he loves the fans and he's willing to do that for them.
Just hope he didn't play any action scenes because he looks like a general than just playing a action figure. Since I'm sure his last action movie he's completely done doing all the stunts is Indiana Jones 5. I don't know if he really did all the action in the new Captain America movie or not, but let's
Nah, probably not.
I hope not, because there's
Yeah,
no way he would survive. Just saying, like, man, the
no,
way he's went through these stunts in this one, it's just wow. He managed to be okay and like all that. Man, it was just rough. It was rough the way how they completely stunt coordinate this movie and Harrison Ford doing it all. But this is like his last action movie he's gonna withstand, and then
yeah.
that's it. No more. He could just be in those drama movies or some kind of like figure. Who knows what he's got? But he isn't going to retire. Is all we know. He's not done with He's not done
Yeah,
with acting. Is all we heard. So we're gonna get to
yeah.
see him more in these movies. But Indiana Jones is his final action appearance. If all said and done. All right. Who do you want to? Since you're the guest, who do you want to speak on the cast? Who do you actually enjoy that we can actually discuss next?
Phoebe, Waller Bridge.
I figured.
She, I literally was not sure when I saw the trailers. I wasn't sure about her. I was like, oh man, are they gonna do that thing of the classic? But no, she was actually. It was legit like it's a female Indiana Jones, but it makes sense. It's not forced or anything like that. It makes sense why she's like that. And it was like cool, like reflection both of those sides of the coin. What Indiana Jones used to be, and then now he's like retired. So it's like it was really cool to see that reflection between those two. She did a really good job in that movie. Like I wouldn't mind a spinoff movie of her, like following her. I wouldn't mind
I
that
was
at
just
all.
going to ask that question. Do you think they'll do a spin-off of Elena Shaw? Helena Shaw? Because who
I
knows?
they should. She's a really good character. It would be a shame that they wouldn't because I really liked her.
I think they. I mean, I don't hate the character, but some people could dislike her. But I never have issues. But I don't like her ego. On top of that, I mean, her ego side I don't like. But she actually performed great.
Hey, but Indiana Jones is the same way though. He had an ego.
I mean,
He
yeah,
was
yeah.
always
I
he was
guess you
always
proved your
cocky.
point. You proved your point. Oh, but I hope Indiana Jones out there would want a spin-off of Helena Shaw. Maybe like a prequel to the series of the five,
Something,
before the
man.
five, like that, I'm sure. Because she is the god daughter of
Yeah.
Indy. I mean, looks
Mhm.
like it. But yeah, she's great in the movie. I have no complaint. Again, I don't even like her ego sometimes, but again, that's just me. But you know what? It is what it is. I thought she did a good job playing the goddaughter of Indy, so very nice. I like to go on to actually now. I don't know if you know Malik and the listeners. Just to repeat this real quick, I don't know if I stated this in my past episodes. I love watching villains. Villains are fun, and I don't mind playing them a single day on set. So I have to bring out Mads Mikkelsen. For those that don't know him well, he's from the Fantastic Beasts movies, which I don't care about them.
Yeah,
But
that's
there's one video game he appeared in. And to ask you this, Malik, do you know that video game called Death Stranding?
yeah. He was in there. So
He
that's
was
what I was thought you were gonna tell me to guess, and I was like, yeah, that's true. Yeah,
all I
played that
gotta
game. That
say
game's really
is
good.
he was dark in that game. I liked his character in there, and I didn't give a shit for a second, but when he appears in Indiana Jones, I'm like, oh, Mads Mikkelsen plays the villain, and he also played the villain in Death Stranding. To give a credibility on that, he was great in that game. I recommend that game to the listeners, non-gamers maybe. But overall, he put out very good, steep tone of him in the game. He was very, very phenomenal. So I liked his character. He plays as Jurgen Voller, and he wants the whole story of this movie. He's trying to like change the altar with this algorithm device or something, which supposed to dial back to what it's supposed to change in the past. He wants to change something with World War II, which is what his character
Yeah,
is really about. Which I thought
yeah,
was
he
a
wants
cool.
the Nazis to
Yeah,
take
I
over.
like the concept of that. I like the purpose of that. You know, some things you want to
Yeah,
go back and change, but it's just
yeah,
never.
I literally forgot Matt Mikkelsen was even in the movie because I remember we were sitting there and my buddy was next to me. I see him. The first scene I see him, and I'm like, "Oh my god, Matt Mikkelsen's is me! I freaking forgot he was in this."
He's not a. He's truly not a butts in the seat star. Let's accommodate that. But I think an additional value add. He may not be the most infamous, but I hope he
I,
gets a little
I,
more
I
villainous.
just,
Go ahead.
I just think he's like a really like he's meant to be a villain. Like I cannot see him not being a villain just because he plays that role really, really well.
I was gonna say, I hope he gets more villain roles because I think this is like his good thing on his resume. Him playing more as a villains would be a nice on his resume. So, Matt Mikkelsen's still very good as a villain. I like it. Um, is there any other cast members or characters you want to touch base on? Like, who you prefer? Because I mean, I got everything to
Well,
say.
well, I know. What is it? Freaking the guy who was on that boat,
Oh,
Anthony Bourdain.
yeah,
Is
yeah,
it?
Antonio Banderas.
Yeah,
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 yeah, yeah.
yeah. Why was I was really confused? That threw me off a little bit. I'm like, why is he in the? It was just a random like. It was almost like a glorified cameo. Almost. It's so weird.
I didn't know it was him until I read his credit name. I'm like, oh, I forgot he's in the movie. I'm like, if only he was in majority of the movie with Indy. But
Yeah,
he only appeared in the second half of the movie, which is funny.
yeah. I liked his character too. Like I did like him, but I was like, it was so weird. I was like, why isn't he more in the movie? Because he's a good actor, so it's weird.
Don't forget he played Puss in Boots.
Yeah, yeah.
And we'll all will remember what this guy plays as. It's the infamous Puss in Boots, and no doubt about it. But yeah, great point on Antonio Banderas. I like the guy who was in like at least in the beginning of like 20 minutes. I thought he would be in some of the part of the movie, like at least majority with Indy, but Toby Jones, I think that's his name.
Yeah,
He plays as
same.
Basil, who's the father of Elena
Yeah,
Shaw. But unfortunately, that didn't seem to be the case. But I thought he was funny in that movie.
yeah. Yes,
At least in the
yes.
trailer, I thought he was funny in certain scene like that. But nah, I guess they didn't include much of the movie. It's fine. All right. Is there any other people you want to touch base on? Also, there's that actor who plays Teddy. I don't know his name, but I thought he was good in that movie as
I
well.
think it's. I think it is Ethan Isidore. I'm not sure. It's just on Wikipedia. He's not listed. Like you can't click on his name. So I'm assuming this might be his first movie. Maybe he doesn't have a lot to his name, but that's the only name here that I see. So that's probably him.
Yeah, totally.
But yeah, he did a really good job for me not seeing anything. Like, I mean, he's no short round, but he's
Yeah, short round. I liked him in Temple of Doom, except that was actually Kiwan Kwei. To remind everyone, best supporting actor. He won Oscars for Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. So,
like if he would have won like that award like a little bit before they filmed Dial of Destiny, they would have put him in this movie. There's no doubt in my mind
oh
that
man,
they would not have put him
totally.
in.
Oh my god. I mean, he killed it for sure.
Yeah,
But that was
she was
him
so good.
younger in Temple of Doom to remind everyone who have no idea who this guy is, or to remind everyone who loves this guy but appeared in Temple of Doom. He was very young, surprisingly. And if that was him in this movie as a young, oh my god, that'd be totally different. No doubt about it. And I mean, I would have loved this character for sure. All right, so I want to go over to one of the directors that directed this movie, and I had so much faith when this guy is on board to directing The Dial of Destiny. So, to remind people, the last four Indiana Jones were directed by Steven Spielberg. But this time around, he stepped off directing. He wants to give someone a chance to take on this franchise. And that man gets his name out from Logan, Ford v Ferrari, and 310 to Yuma is none other than James Mangold. This guy killed it. I liked his direction. I thought he did a good job. And he also even wrote the movie, which I never had issues with the story. I thought the story was great, and his directing seemed to pay off on this franchise. He ended off so good on a high note with this franchise. It's beautifully well done, I gotta say.
Yeah.
What do you think of James Mangold in this movie? I mean, directing.
Well, when they announced like he was directing and I saw Jay, I was like, okay, cool. I'm not worried. Like I was happy. I was like, cool. Like Logan was fantastic. Ford v Ferrari was like he has such a good record. It's like, all right, cool. Like I'm not even worried about it. And he proved me right because the directing in this movie is so good. Like even like the scene, it's in the trailer or whatever, when the parade scene when Harrison Ford's on the horse, whatever. Like that whole scene was so well like choreographed and just. It was good. It had a mixture of like funny moments and then the action and stuff was just really well done.
I just liked the certain scene. It was like so funny. So in that certain scene, which is not a spoiler, but this is where he pulls out his whip in front of everybody in some kind of like place, and then everyone pulled out their guns towards it. That was the funniest thing, and good directing James Gunn showed. It was too good. And yes,
it's so good.
Were people laughing in that scene at your end? I'm sure.
Oh yeah, everyone was. It's just so funny because nowadays they take things that's so obvious, like everyone has guns, so he gets this whip out and it's like he thinks he's gonna do something, and then everyone just pulls a gun out. He's like, oh shit.
Yeah, that was funny. I liked the direction on that one right there. It was perfect. The way how it's written out and storied, the way how it's written out. I'm sorry, it was perfect. It was too good. I think that's like one of my favorite scenes of this movie and possibly out of the franchise. But just to give a heads up, James Mangold is working on a biopic film of Bob Dylan starring Timothy Chalamet. I'm definitely looking into that. No doubt. I can't wait to see it. It's being worked on.
I didn't even know he was doing that. So it's James Mangold, so I'll be there.
I'll be there all the way for this guy. He's like the next best thing of movie filmmaking is James Mangold. Who could have done it better? But I want to go on to obviously the greatest part. You've got John Williams, composing this movie once again, and he's still got the rhythm to Indiana Jones. Anything you have to comment on John Williams for his composing?
Oh yeah, everything this man touches just is great. It's gonna seriously. He's 91 years old, and it's really like sad. I'm just glad that he's still doing it. Like he's still doing it. Just give us as much as you can before when he passed away. It's going to be a sad time because no one makes no one composes music like he does. It's just amazing. Like his whole like so many freaking things. Jaws, E.T., like so much movies that we've watched, he's done. And I don't think people realize that a lot of the movies that you watched as a kid, John Williams probably did that score.
Oh yeah, I'm sure he collabed with Steven Spielberg a lot of his movies. I'm sure he did. There's no doubt. So I'm surprised he's on board with Mangold, like because he loves Indiana Jones too.
Or even Superman, he did the first two Superman movies.
Oh really? He did?
Yeah, he was them.
Well, just to remind everyone, John Williams is one iconic composer. So if he passes away someday, may we all never forget his part. So. The iconic stuff, he's got it with this movie. I'm glad it didn't change one bit. As long as you stay with what the iconic sound is going to be, it's just perfect.
I think the only thing I did not like is I feel like the main theme for Indiana Jones, there's not one time in the movie where they used it appropriately. If that makes sense. I feel like the other movies did it better when the music would come on. It made sense for the story. But in this movie, it felt like it was just, you hear that? You recognize that music? You know what I mean? It's like trying to make us remember the music, and they never play like the full thing, or like they play like a little bit and then it turns into a different score. It's really weird because I would tell my friend, I'll be like, "Yo, this isn't feel right. They're using this already. Like in the first scene, they're already using the main theme. Like it's weird. really weird.
these tones are always going with the iconic indies theme. That's just how I want it, and I liked the fact he still used that tone. I mean, not tone. That music part into these like scenes. It's just it makes it memorable, nostalgic, and
Oh
iconic.
yeah, it does
I
for
just
sure.
enjoy that. I wanted those to happen. So John Williams did his part very well. Is there anything else we should discuss before we go to the spoilers discussion? Which again, if anyone has listened to my past or episodes or a new listen to this show, I now do spoilers discussion. So just want to give you guys a heads up. Is there anything else we should discuss on the non-spoilers discussion before we head to that?
I let me see. Yeah, oh my. Sorry, I'm just on the Wikipedia and I saw Kathleen Kennedy's name and it just made me mad. But no, we go to spoilers.
Yeah, so everyone, if you all haven't seen the movie, step away from this episode. You cannot sue me if you dare listen to spoilers, even if you haven't seen the movie, or if you just don't care.
Okay. Yeah.
That's on you. So please don't sue the show by chance.
Mhm.
So if you guys haven't seen it and want to listen back to this episode, you can. Once you watch the episode, we're just giving straight our thoughts to the ending and conclusion. So let's go ahead and go on to what the ending was about. So obviously the third climax was fun. It's just where Jurgen Voller has pieced up the what's that called again? I mean, it looks like a clock. It's supposed to time travel or something.
It's a dial of destiny. They pretty much call it a dial, but
Yeah, the
they call
dial.
it the dial of destiny. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll just call it the dial. So Jurgen Voller was able to piece the dial, and then he was trying to go back to World War II, and then all of a sudden it looked like he didn't know how to set coordinates right, and they were able to transport back to way longer before World War II, and then it looked like it was something else. I thought this is what
It was like Rome. Yeah.
it was a Roman War, let's say. Yeah, so that's what happened. He did not want that to happen. So and then, all this action shit happens, blah blah blah. I mean, there's nothing much discussed. That scene was pretty good overall. I like the
Yeah,
cinematography of that
I really
action,
like when they're on the plane and they're like, and the engineer's trying to warn them, like saying, "Hey, like you don't know what you're doing and stuff," and it's like
Exactly.
too late. Like there's a lot of tension where I was like, I don't know what was going to happen. I wasn't sure if the whole plane was going to blow up. What's going to be through that portal? You don't.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
never knew. They
The
did a
portal
really good
looked
tension
cool.
on
I
that.
don't think the CGIs weren't much in this movie, especially that. Even in the beginning, I forgot the opening 20 minutes. They did a de-aged indie in that. I mean, how do you feel on that first 20 minutes of that scene like that? That whole scene.
At first I was like, oh, it doesn't look bad, and because I thought it was going to be a quick scene, and it kept going. I'm like, okay, now it's starting to look uncanny, like that uncanny valley type. Like
Yeah, yeah.
sometimes, like quick motions, it would feel a little off on them. But other than that, they did a good job. Like it wasn't like where it took me out of the movie. I was like I don't like it. It's like it's the opening. It's fine. They didn't do the whole
It
movie,
makes
so
sense because the openings of Indiana Jones, they always
yeah.
have a past and then it goes to the present.
Mm.
So I thought they did a good job bringing
Mm.
that again.
Yeah.
Back to what I was saying to the climax. So then the plane crash. Harrison, Helena were able to jump off. Also, Teddy was in another plane rescuing them, so he was able to follow in pursuit. And then the plane crashed. Jurgen and his men died. But then there's a group of other Roman people who were able to see something, the dial, and it knows that other people aren't a threat. So you try to give that piece back to them. But then it was almost sad that Harrison wanted to. Indy wanted to stay to sacrifice. I don't know what the idea
At
was.
first, well, at first I was like, really, you're doing that? But then I kind of liked it. Like I kind of like thought about it while I was watching it. I was like, I kind of accepted it by that point. And then he got knocked out, and I was like, oh, all right, you
Yeah,
guys aren't
yeah, that
gonna go
was.
fall through. You guys are
I
gonna fall
guess it
through. All
makes
right.
sense if he, you can't change what's in the past of that in the real world. So Helena didn't want him to change that course to stay. So he had to win him out of there and just took his ass out of the
Like, I
out of the
just thought it
world.
was like really cool if like Indiana Jones would have died like watching history. It made so much sense for his character because he loves history so much to actually like see the history unfold. Like it made sense to me that Indiana Jones would just kind of accept that and just be able to like for his final moments just watch it because it's so amazing to him. It
Yeah,
was like
it makes
sad. It was
sense. He's
sad.
still got the ego, so it makes sense why he wanted to
Yeah.
stay. But so, like I said, Helena Shaw was able to knock him out. They took him home, and then it sets back to his home where he's able to be awake. So, going to the end of that, there is a part I want to discuss here. You don't, for the films that you need to watch, if people has not listened to, not watched the Indiana Jones movies, you don't need to watch all of them. I only watch all of them because of the quality. So, what you only have to watch pretty much is the first one. Raiders of the Lost Ark is not only the superior film of the franchise, but it has now also the films don't have huge callbacks to the fifth one. So there's no callbacks, nothing. But the first one has a certain character, which I'm shocked that she came back. And yeah, she was briefly mentioned in the beginning,
Mm.
but Helena Shaw was able to get her to come and surprise Indy. And that scene touched my heart. That dude, they still have beef with each other. So apparently they got separation after they got married. I mean, this is
Yeah,
like
the reason when the whole reveal of like why they kind of like when Elena asked Andy like what would you want to change if you could and that with the dial and he said about I would my son I would tell him not to join the army or whatever and she's like why and he's like because he would die and then it affect like that got me. I was like, man, you're making me care about Shia LaBeouf from King of the Crystal Skull and
I
caring
thought
about what happened to
I
him.
didn't like him in that movie, by the way. That's why I
Oh, I
believe
didn't
it's
like him
terrible.
either.
I
But I'm
think it's
saying like
his character and his character and personality, which it just
but it's
sucks.
just like you're really making me care that this guy died because it affected you so severely. You know what I mean? And like you made him and Marion, separate.
Yeah. Oh, and just to clarify, even find out he did died prior to the movie, so
Mm.
not sure what setting was that, but he did
It
die,
was
unfortunately.
it was the war. He went to war. He joined.
Yeah. Yeah. So back to the iconic part of these characters. So as Helena and Sala is back. Sala is back, but not in majority of the
Yeah,
movie. He was able to bring
yeah.
his kids
No,
over, so they
I
all went
I,
out to like go get ice cream, and
I thought
then
he was gonna join them at first. I
yeah, yeah,
thought.
yeah, yeah. That's so they were able to. Here's the thing that touched me very well. It's that iconic scene where, in the first one, Indy was injured, and then Marion's the name, by the way. Sorry. Yeah, I think I said mentioned Marion. So Marion. So yeah, he was injured, and she asked him, "What part does it hurt you?" And he told her to kiss him on whatever part hurts. Here, 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 and if you're on YouTube, you can see my motion, but obviously, he obviously touched the lip. So, and then it goes to the opposite that Marion told it what hurts, and he did the same thing what Marion did in the first movie. That was like very touching. I just
I like
wow.
too when she tells like Indy, like oh like she told me you're back like that should it just made me like almost got teary eyed because he was such a beat up like he didn't really care about what he was doing like he still loved history but he didn't really have the same joy until he went on that adventure with Helena and then he's like you're back you know.
Yeah, so I just wanted to say they did a good job recapturing that moment. But opposite of that, I thought it was touching. That really
Yeah,
touched my heart for that. So, and yeah, the movie ends with the closing circle part where they do these in cartoons.
yeah.
Got his hat, and then he took the hat and just wow, people were like laughing a bit into themselves. It was funny. And yeah,
Yeah,
that
I,
movie. Oh, go ahead.
I don't know. Is it selfish of me that I want another one? Like it sucks. That's like
Honestly, I don't think we
when
want another one just in case. I mean, come on. I think that's been enough.
get Steven Spielberg back in the chair. You could
Oh,
probably make a good
and
movie
make
real life,
a Helena Shaw spinoff. I mean,
or
heck,
something like that. Yeah, like
you know what?
it just sucks because we had Kingdom of Crystal Skull, and then that if that was actually a good movie, I feel like we would this wouldn't be the last Indiana Jones movie. If that Kingdom of Crystal Skull was actually good, decent, and well received, then I feel like we would have got more. But the fact is that they're like let it die for a little bit because everyone hated it, and then brought it back. I guess just it's fine. It's a good send off. I shouldn't get to, and then
Yeah.
they'll make the last one, and it'll be bad. Then it'll be my fault that I asked.
Yeah, so overall to the ending, that that sets completely that, and they send off the franchise into the sunset. Very beautifully well done, and I was sitting through like the beginning of the credits and
Oh,
like
dude,
listen to the song they played. Oh my god. The same iconic Indiana Jones song they play in the credits is just wonderful.
I just realized that that parade in New York, whatever in the street, that was when the for the Apollo 11 astronauts. That was like a big event. I didn't realize that. I thought it was just a random parade. But
Yeah.
that's pretty cool, actually.
Oh yeah, totally. Okay, so is there any part of the endings and all do you want to like touch base before we get to our rankings for the series?
Oh, oh, sorry, I lost you for a minute. But
Oh, you're good.
I think the what was I wanted to say something. Oh yeah, people who couldn't believe like they couldn't believe this movie. The ending was too far fetched for them, but they could believe in Kingdom of the Crystal Skull of aliens and like oh, it just like it doesn't add up. It's like come on, guys, like
It's an
that doesn't
ET
add up.
reference. That was stupid. That's what I want to mention. That was stupid. It was
You
like,
know,
wow.
like I would rather have this. This is was more believable to me than aliens and this whole like art of like the crystal skull and all that. That just didn't make sense to me for Indiana Jones. Like this made more sense. Like it wasn't too crazy. Like they kind of explain like fissures in the sky. Like it makes sense. Like we have them in real life. That's a real scientific thing or whatever. So it wasn't like far fetched to me. Like I could believe it.
Oh yeah, and so obviously we're talking about Crystal Skull to listeners about the alien part. I'm sure people that saw the fourth one did know that there is a ET alien reference towards the climax. Again, that's just stupid. Why the hell would you do that? Uh, whatever. But all right, let's go down to the official rankings of our series' thoughts. So, you are the guest, Malik. So you go in and go first. What is your top rankings from 1 to 5 of the indie
I want to.
series?
I'm gonna start from the bottom because
Go ahead.
you're gonna be really shocked what my number one is. So for number 5, I'm gonna have to do Crystal Skull, awful, and then for number 4, I would have to. This is me doing off the top of my head right now. So number 4 would have to be. Oh man, I don't know. I'll probably. Man, I'm gonna get flack for this. I don't hate these. I'm telling you right now. Crystal Skull is the only one I hate. All right, but number 4 is probably The Last Crusade. I'm probably gonna get crucified for that. But then the third would be Dial of Destiny. Number 2 is gonna be Raiders, and the number 1 is Temple of Doom for me.
Good ranks. Good ranks. For me, let's go ahead. I'm gonna do top. How the Bo Boys would start top to number 1 to 5, top 5. Like they start from 1 to 5, so I'm gonna just follow in suit of that. So my number 1, Raiders of the Lost Ark, Slam Doink. It's my favorite. Number 2 is going to be The Last Crusade. Number 3, Dial of Destiny. Number 4, Temple of Doom. And number 5, Crystal Skull.
Dude, people, what? I just realized that not a lot of people like Temple of Doom. That like blew my
Only
mind on Twitter,
because it's a
man.
prequel to the first. I'm like,
Okay,
really?
I would. Here's my reasoning. This is why I love Temple of Doom. All right, it's because I'm not sure if a lot of people noticed, but Temple of Doom was such a badass movie. It made PG-13.
Oh
There
yeah,
was no PG-13 rating when that movie came out. It was PG until the MPA saw it and were like, no, we have to create something else because this is way too graphic. So then it made PG-13. Like it's a big part of movie history, which is why I love the second movie, which is why I do watch it first because it is a prequel.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
totally,
But
totally.
no, I love that movie. I will defend it till
Yes.
I die.
So if Dial of Destiny wasn't great to me, I would have really put it next to Crystal Skull. But luckily, it had to be in my top three favorite indie movies. So you're going Crystal Skull number 5, Last Crusade for number 4. Number 3 is Dial of Destiny for you. Number 2 for you is Raiders of the Lost Ark, and number 1 for you
Yep,
is Temple of Doom. And to repeat
yep.
that for myself, number 1 is Raiders of the Lost Ark, Last Crusade, number 3, Dial of Destiny, number 4, Temple of Doom, and 5, Crystal Skull. But yeah, great series ranks. I like your choices, my man. And I hope you liked mine too, which funny
Yeah,
that someone on my Twitter just commented that my ranking is 100% accurate. I'm assured that he also had the same ranking to his opinion too, so.
oh yeah, it's definitely like the only bad one is Kino Crystal Skull. Like everyone else, like Last Crusade, I like if you ask me, like my rankings kind of do change. If you ask me like tomorrow, they might change, or like the next time I watch Last Crusade, I'm gonna be like, man, I really love that. That's going up, and then the next day it might be different. You know what I mean? Like those movies are all good except for Crystal Skull
Oh yeah,
for me.
totally, totally. All right, so let's go ahead before we get off this air. I love box office as much as you do. So, if you don't mind, let's dig into the opening weekend results for Dial Destiny. And this is very stingly bad. So,
Yeah,
let's go ahead and begin. So, obviously, well, I'm not going to go the ranks of the opening weekend, but we're going to just talk about the only film, Dial Destiny. So, it is number 1 at this weekend's box office. It made projectedly it was supposed to make 60 to 70 million opening weekend, and then it came out at the recording moment. Actuals can come out tomorrow. It opened low ended at $60 million opening weekend.
yeah.
So it's concerning only because
Costs a lot of money to
it
make,
costs.
dude. And
Yeah. Thank you. It costs a lot of money to make. It's nearly like 300. It's one of the expensive movies, but
yeah,
less expensive than Fast X, but
dude,
it's still
it's
expensive.
dude. It's more expensive than Dune Part Two. If you just saw that trailer, how the hell is this movie more expensive than Dune?
Exactly. I heard it was gonna cost less than the first, but man, they just okay. So here's the thing: why it Dial Destiny was expensive. I guess it's because they shot this during COVID, so COVID
And
protocol
de
was happening.
aging too probably is a lot of
Yeah,
money.
yeah.
De aging.
So that's why if it was if it wasn't for those, it'd be 200. I think it'd be fair 200 to like I'd think 170 to 200. It'd be the budget. I think it would be like, I guess nowadays. But these movies, Hollywood movies nowadays, have to tone down these budgets. It's like crazy. I get it. It's
Yeah,
because it was made during COVID and all that, but they just gotta like avoid these budgets being
it's
so
like
high because Disney is like, yeah. So far, like Disney's gonna have these loses this year. I mean, Elemental
well, because
maybe. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
no, you're good. Go ahead. Finish your thought.
Elemental may have great legs so far, but it's not gonna probably make up the whole budget back. Not whole budget, but the point break even. It'll still lose a lot of money, I guess, but
It's starting to pick up a little legs
it's
now. Like
picking up
both
very
those
good.
teams.
Yeah. Even
Yeah,
though I skipped that movie out because it wasn't my
I
eyes,
think
but I
it's
heard it's very good. Yeah,
yeah. I think it's a lot of word of mouth. Like that movie
yeah,
like showed
yeah.
you like a lot of word of mouth, so a lot of people are going to go see that movie. But the thing is too is that like it makes it if you're making a movie that's that expensive and you're literally making it bomb because now even if they wanted to make another Indiana Jones movie, that's not happening. I'm sorry if their money like it flops. It's sad, but it's right now. Like unless
This
a miracle happens.
Here's the thing. So, according to Eric Weber, I want to give him a shout out real quick. So, he was able to dive deep into this box office for Dial of Destiny, and he's sort of calling it the Dial of Disaster or something like that. I'm hoping that's the case. I'm even
Yeah,
gonna
that's
make the
funny.
audiogram to even tag him on Twitter as he's listening to
Mhm.
this if he can. But yeah, so I may have to agree. This and before the movie came out, it came very bad projected. It was supposed to. So my prediction before this month of June, I had Jeff Bach on my show weeks ago. I mean, a month ago. We predict this around 100. I was predicting at least 120, and he was going 100. But so by the time those projections came out, they are been terrible. Now here's the factors why. Besides the budget, now here's the thing: Indiana Jones movies tend to play big for adults because
Yep.
the adult
We
era
grew up
that
with it.
yeah. So he's that example of why he's on my episode. He is that age, so he'd be excited to seeing this. But for me, I thought this looks pretty cool, so I was excited seeing this, and this was actually my top 10 most anticipated of the year. So I thought the first trailer was fantastic, was promising. So the idea of this weekend, it was not a lot of under 25s would see it. So just to give my boots off the ground report to the BO boys, I'm obviously going to also make this audiogram. I went to see this movie today as a recording. Lots of men were there and women included, like way older than me. It's just like a lot of that age of era would come out to see us, but for the young people, that doesn't appeal to that.
Well,
So
well, dude,
it's
it's crazy because when my buddy saw the trailer for this movie for the first time in theaters, he got teary eyed just by seeing Indiana, like Harrison Ford again, like as Indiana
it was just
Jones.
iconic
Like
as
that's
the
not like
music
a point.
touches. That's why I was into
Yeah,
this movie for sure. But other people, the other
yeah,
young
yeah.
audiences under 25s,
They're
they
missing
just
out
it
on
doesn't appeal
it.
to that.
Yeah,
I mean, we
no,
can't blame
yeah,
them, but
yeah. Because
it's
like
the
you're telling them
case.
to watch 4 movies, and if you say, "Oh, Raiders of the Lost Ark came out," this, 80s, whatever, they're gonna be like, "What? I'm not watching that. That's old. Like,
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
want to watch
So
that."
luckily, there may be some young under 25s would see it, but it's not majorities of it. So the
Yeah,
whole demos that over 40s and all have came out to see this. It's not for what I read, but it looks like that's what the demo is going to be. So on top of that, there's one major factor why this sunk badly at the box office. Disney last month rolled a dice to playing this at the Cannes Film Festival, and
worst
it
decision
was
ever.
the worst decision ever. Even
Yeah.
critics don't matter. Critics don't matter in the sense, but I don't know why this is the case, but that's one of the factors why it didn't appeal the word of critics to the
Yeah,
young
it was.
audiences. It
That
looks
makes me
like
so
that in
angry.
case. It made me
Yeah,
upset
because
too. It made me upset. Like
if
critics
that
don't
did not
matter.
happen, if that did not happen, it probably wouldn't have fallen so bad. Like people were excited for it. I know people were, and then as soon as the freaking lukewarm, everyone was like, "Oh man, this movie is not good." Like,
Exactly. And as a young adult, I thought this was enjoyable. So if the young audiences are listening to this episode, it's not stupid. Don't pay attention to the damn critics.
yeah,
Listen to me. I'll tell
you're
you.
smoking too much.
I'm straight honest. This is a good movie. It's not perfect, but it's good. A perfect
Better
ending to Harrison Ford's career. If you love this
than
guy, if you're growing up to watching these movies as you get older, this is a way to end off by watching and supporting this movie. Because heck, it's Harrison Ford.
and it's better than Kino on the Crystal Skull.
Thank
Like
you.
that's all you
Thank
need to
you,
know.
Malik.
That's all you need to know.
So that's one of the factors why Disney completely now they had confidence, I guess, but in this case, the picky critics happened to shed this movie pretty bad, so that didn't appeal well,
I
which
think
is
that's the
why.
last time Disney's going to be doing that.
And they
I
did
feel
the
like.
same thing with Elemental, but then
Yeah,
the audiences matter. It had an A,
yeah,
and then just to report the
yeah.
cinema score for this movie, it's got a B plus, The Dial Destiny, which is not good. It's a Hollywood blockbuster. So even with superheroes, B's, pluses, and under are pretty bad. I was expecting to
Yeah.
get at least an A minus because the audiences are better, but it may be above Crystal Skull's B, but a B plus is still mediocre. But
What's the Rotten Tomatoes score right now? Oh,
it's
the Rotten
at
Tomatoes score for audience is a 68 or 88. Sorry, audience is
88. I was
88%,
gonna
and
say
then
no way
yeah, right.
68.
but
But
they're not
yeah,
going to say David. So that's
yeah,
good. That's good. Audiences love it. So that's all I care about. I don't care about the tomato meter. I care about the audience.
yeah, that's the whole thing. So 88% is what the audiences loved. So pay attention to that, I guess. So anyway, I can't say anything about this box office. We'll see if it's got the legs this coming weekend. So there's no competition,
Fourth of July, yeah, July weekend. So
and it's
hopefully,
got
maybe.
PLS for another weekend until Mission Impossible comes out. So,
Oh, Mission Impossible, that movie, man, I can't
oh
wait.
man, I can't wait. But
Man, I already got my ticket for it.
back to what I
Go
was
ahead.
saying about this. So we will see what comes down to this weekend. If I had to predict the second weekend drop, I'm gonna be optimistically. Actually, I'm gonna be not optimistic because I would foresee and foretell this movie's played for the adults. It's not great for repeatable viewings, unfortunately. In this case,
Yeah,
I'm not gonna go back seeing it again. I don't know about
no,
you.
no, no,
So
no.
it's gonna. I think it's gonna drop around 60s, which is concerning. The 60s and 70s are not good. If it drops under 50s, that's good. But the 60s, I believe it's gonna drop around 60s. What is your prediction? How much will drop second weekend?
I'm trying to think. I'm hoping this is me being optimistic. I'm hoping that word of mouth can get people to like go into the theater and see it. So I'm gonna say it's probably gonna maybe drop like 50%, like 55, maybe 50% drop. I don't think it's gonna be too. I'm hoping it's not gonna be too drastic because I want it to succeed. But I just like to be optimistic and hope for the best for Indiana.
Me too. This will be one of the flops of Disney for sure. So
Yeah.
unfortunate. Uh, okay. So I think that's everything I covered. Oh yeah. We will see what's coming down to the box office, and I won't be covering a lot of that, but to give them a shout out, follow Eric Weber from Midnight Movie Talk on YouTube, and follow the BO Boys podcast. They will cover this stuff, I'm sure. So give these guys a follow if you're a box office lover or want to know what goes down with this movie's business. So I can't speak anything, but that's all I got really. All right. So with that, everything completed. Is there anything else you want to touch base before we get off?
Nope. It's all set. I think we pretty much said everything
Dial
we can.
Destiny is now playing. Go see it if you haven't. If you're a Harrison Ford lover or you thought this is pretty cool, and to give you guys the idea, it's a good movie. It's better than Crystal Skull. So and again, you don't have to watch every Indiana Jones completely. At least watch the first one. It's gonna give you a callback, and that's it. So
Unless you want to see the experience of the dip down in quality when it gets a Kingdom of Christmas Skulls.
Totally. So I'm just advising that. It could be me, but I just think about it for that since we did our spoilers discussion. Just check out the first Raiders of the Lost Ark if you're going to this movie, I guess. So. All right. So, Malik, thank you so much for being on the show. Appreciate. Oh, and
Yeah, no problem.
happy early birthday. I know your birthday's coming up, so.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
Of course.
25.
Yeah. Is there? Oh yeah. So you're not a podcaster at the moment. So where could they at least follow you? At least if people want to get your taste of movies.
On Twitter at Movies for a Pod, always if I go see a movie, I'm always saying what movies I'm seeing, and usually I give my out of theater reactions. I think I do want to start as soon as the movie's over, like in my car or outside the movie, start doing them like live, like right then and there, because sometimes I feel like I just don't want social media to judge opinions because sometimes that can happen. I think we all fall from that when we go on Twitter and we see something and you don't think that opinion goes in your head, but it kind of does affect it. So I'm gonna start doing that more.
That's a great plan. So I'll tune in that. So everyone follow him at Movies for Real Pod on Twitter. I'll leave that in the show notes. And everyone, as usual, if you enjoy the show, follow, subscribe to whatever you're listening on. I'm on YouTube. So smash that like button, subscribe, leave a comment, and hit the bell for when my episodes drop. So it'll give you guys the alerts. So follow me at social media at ISUS4MPod on Twitter. TikTok, I screen, you screen for movies. They'll both be in the show notes as well for you guys to follow and give the names. email me at deskamlaji@gmail.com. My email's open if you want to share me your thoughts on this movie, your rankings on Indiana Jones, and the box office, and anything you want to share, send away at deskamlaji@gmail.com. Mission Impossible is my next episode, but even before that review comes out, I will be doing at the moment, it's uncertain. If it doesn't pop on the episode, means it's canceled, but I might do a special cover episode this coming week, and I might have a guest if he's available. So take it for granted as a salt. It may or may not happen, but we will see. Otherwise, I'm looking forward to do this episode for, box office and everything. Which, yeah, I'm going to do box office for the month of July. That's the idea. So again, if it doesn't pop on the feed for those who followed me, it means it's canceled. So all you can expect is me dropping the Mission Impossible review, which I'm excited. I'm very excited. So
there's a lot of movies coming out in July, so I
oh,
have a lot of
totally.
competition.
And it's gonna be a big topic episode as well for what I'm gonna do. So if anyone's looking forward to that episode, if it happens, all you have to do is follow and subscribe to the podcast. Even follow me on YouTube if you're watching this through YouTube. And if you're a podcast listener and you want to see my face, the YouTube channel is in the description link as well. So, anyways, that will be due for now. I don't think there's anything left to say except until next time, I'll be screaming you all at I Screen, You Scream for movies. Nailed it.